Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm delighted to join my good friend, Axel Schroeder, who is the Operations Director at CONCEPT Heidelberg, but also the Administrator for the ECA Pharmaceutical Microbiology Working Group. And today, we're going to learn a little bit about CONCEPT Heidelberg and the ECA, but more primarily, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite shows of the year, Pharma Labs Congress and Exhibition, which is always held in Neuss, which is near Dusseldorf. And this year is on November the 24th and 26th. Axel, it's lovely to see you, my friend. How are you?
Okay, thank you very much, Rizwan. Fine. I think what we see every autumn, a lot of work for the seminar organizer.
Yeah,
In the autumn time, there are less holiday breaks and less bank holidays. So I think another event every week.
yeah, there is. I know. We were talking off camera. You've been at an event every week, and you have an event every week practically until Pharma Lab. And I the same. I showed every single week, all the way up to and including Pharma Lab. So let's before we talk about Pharma Lab, though. Pharma Lab is obviously organised by Concept Heidelberg, and you also work with the ECA. So before we talk about Pharma Lab, perhaps you can give viewers a quick overview of who Concept Heidelberg are, and also the work you do with the ECA.
Okay, I thought maybe Concept Heidelberg is a professional conference and seminar organizer existing since 1978, huh? So a long time, but still in family ownership. So not the classical stock-based organization, really a middle-sized um, company led by the owner directly. And that means in really counts, we are only 38 people in this company. Yeah? So you know everyone personally.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
totally different from my former experience when I worked for concerns like Henkel or Ecolab
Yeah,
with
yeah.
thousands of people all over the world.
Sure, I
And
understand.
I think in 1999, when the ECA, as a member organization for pharma quality, was founded, they were looking for a company who will support them for organizing their ideas of seminars of international level, because the ECA, when it was founded, was a member organization. Today, it's a foundation. They have no own staff, which is working in his main job there. Their all work is based on voluntary level. And therefore, they said, hey, we have a lot of ideas for our members that we can organize maybe some conferences, but we have not the manpower to organize this. And so they looked for a contract organizer. And they entrusted in Concept Heidelberg in this time, I think in the end of the 90s, to do that for the ECA. And this cooperation is still going on until today. And events like the Pharma Lab, as one example, is then organized by both companies in a coordination manner.
Fantastic. Well, look, let's talk about Pharma Lab because, as I said, and I genuinely mean it, Pharma Lab is one of my favorite events. You have put on a great event every year, but it has changed even over the years that I've been going, and I've been going, I think, since 2017 or 2018, actually, the years, but I know you've been doing it longer. So tell viewers more about, first of all, why did you launch Pharma Lab? Was it a few years ago, and how has it evolved over the years?
Yeah, I think we started in 2013, and the thinking behind was um, that we said there is a need maybe for a platform who bring the people from pharmaceutical quality laboratories close together, and maybe give them a possibility for an exchange of knowledge, but the same for networking, and maybe to get a possibility for and contact between participants, speakers, and suppliers in a small exhibition, because we learned in our own history, the work as a concept, we have all other jobs before. When we visit some big trade fairs like Achema or CPHI or something else, you're walking miles and miles to
Yeah.
visit only a two handful of companies which were spread in different halls, and a lot of wasting time for a small, and said maybe we can bring the people with the same interest there together and give them a platform. Um, yeah, to stay together. And we started then in 2013, really a small manner. I think it was a little bit less than 200 people, around, I don't know, 30 exhibitors. And at first we think about, oh, should we go on with that? But we said, okay, there was a good feedback from the participants about the conferences, and some of the exhibitors said, hey, we met really the important people, not a lot of hunters who are looking for gifts at the booth. We really see the people from our customers. And so we decided to go on and give Pharma Lab time to develop then. And I think with a little patience and effort, it worked.
Yeah, well, as I say, I mean, even the few years I've been coming to the show, it's developed a lot, obviously, from when I first started going. I mean, interesting enough, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but when I first went, nearly all the talks, not all of them, but a lot of them were in German as well. But now a lot of them are in English as well. So it's become even a bit more of a less German centric or German speaking centric
Hmm?
show, may I say, to more of a international almost an event where you're attracting speakers and delegates from across the globe. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think we really started with a switch to, I think, a half German language and international conference tracks there. Um, but I think the world changed in the last 12 or 13 years too. I think English is more and more standard language in the most laboratories, and the workers are mixed from different nations. And so we decided a few years ago then to switch totally into to English. And yeah, I think the second is, I think when we developed this and we came to more and more topics which will be covered, I think there were more and more topics where that they're of international interest. And if you want to reach really enough participants, you must go on the English level. And yeah, I think that's one we tried every time to include new topics to identify what is hot. So maybe and include it. I think in the most times that worked, not every time, but you see, at the beginning, we have the topics like endotoxin testing, rapid micros. They were included very fast and they were successful very fast. But I think when we bring it in, we started with existing conferences before. They were
Sure.
included then in PharmaLab. It was much easier. And then we tried to find new topics. And that was not so easy, to start to establish some new one. I think some things were successful. You have seen it last year with the bioassay track.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a lot of discussion with the expert in this field, and they said, "Hey, there is no European event at the moment. There is only more or less one conference in Europe, but this is a little bit US triggered. It's organized by a US organization. It's a little bit focused on the US points of view, and it's sometimes different." And they said, "Hey, it was maybe an idea to organize an European-based event, to bring the people together." And that's why we organized it this year. And I was really surprised at the end. I said, "Okay, if there maybe 50 people, it will be great." And there were sometimes up to 70 or 80 people inside at this conference track. And so I think we go on this year with the bioassay track. And I think we'll start then the same this year with a bioanalytical track. I think related by the reason that some people come and said, "Hey, there was in former time at one international conference an analytical technology track, but they skipped this track, and there is no longer such a bioanalytical technology track and methods track in the conference here in Europe." And said, "Okay, let's try. I hope it will be successful too." But we
I'm
have
sure it
we
will.
have we have the different examples too. We tried once to do a track about pest control in pharmaceutical industries. It was a total flop. It was
Oh,
an was a quite nice exchange of the 8 or 9 speakers about their experiences, but not really more.
yeah. Well, look, sometimes you have to build it to see if it attracts the right people, and I'm grateful that you've been honest enough to talk about the successes, the ones which have not been so successful. So, in terms of Pharma Lab, though, I mean, I remember Annex One was really dominating a lot of the topics prior to it becoming officially out for a number of years at Pharma Lab. So, from your audience perspective, you mentioned obviously the bioassays and the bioanalytical tracks, but what are the core tracks then at Pharma Lab? And what are not just the tracks, but what are some of the core topics or drivers at the show?
Yeah, I think when you see Pharma Lab focused more, I call it, or maybe on the quality control people. So analytics, microbiological topics, bioanalytics, laboratory optimization. And when you look more for the I think, the manufacturing topics, or you said Annex One, I think these topics are normally more focused in the spring uh, Congress, the Pharma Congress and Pharma Technica. So we split it a little bit relating to the people and to the different interests maybe, and there is really maybe a little bit difference between the classical people from manufacturing and maybe a little bit quality assurance and the people from quality control. And Pharma Lab focused more on the quality control topics, and therefore I think more on the microbiology analytics, bioanalytics, and in the last year a little bit goes a little bit more in not only in the GMP field, a little bit in the stages before, in the phases before, because I think especially for the biopharmaceutical, the borders are not longer so sharp. If you don't think in the early development about your methodology, it will not work later under GMP aspects. And so I think different from small molecules in earlier time, the border is not sharp. And so Pharma Lab became more and more of interest for the early phases of pharmaceutical development manufacturing in the last years.
Yeah.
Maybe you've seen
And
it last year with the one of the keynotes, which really was from the early phases, but a lot of people said, hey, quite of interest. Huh?
yeah. Well, you have some very good keynote speakers, and we'll talk about that in a sec. I mean, you talked about the numbers when you first started were around 230 exhibitors. So, how many delegates did you get last year, and how many exhibitors did you get last year?
Yeah, and the last year we were overall 600, a little bit more than 650 people and around 50 exhibitors. We enlarged the exhibition space today a little bit, but I think we have now, I think, around 60 exhibitors. We added an additional conference room because some of the conference rooms were quite crowded last year. And the second is that we need enough space between the booths for the fire safety expectations. And so I think we expected this year around 700 people. If it will be more, we will be happy. But if you have a little bit more than last year, I think a slow development is enough.
Yeah, well,
But
no, that's good to know.
yeah, but really, we really come now to the end of the capacities at our current venue in Neuss. I think it was really quite nice to have it in a big hotel with big conference room and the exhibition hall, where you have the rooms included in the same building. But I think for this year it will be the last one there.
Oh, well, I'm
We
sorry to
will
hear that. That's I like going to Neuss. My one trip a year to Neuss, and I do enjoy it. So,
we really will switch next year to a new venue related that we really have reached the border at this building. And I think next year then we will go to Darmstadt. I think maybe international, not so well known, but it's quite close to Frankfurt and Frankfurt Airport. It's a really scientific technology scientific city with a university and a University for Applied Science, and they have a quite modern congress center called the Darmstadtium. It sounds
right.
maybe in English funny, but that's really the name of an element. That's called Darmstadtium, and the conference center has the same name. And we looked for that, and it really gives us a lot of possibilities for the further development, and including modern technologies. And another reason for us was that they really looked for sustainability with their building and their congress center related to heating, cooling, heat recovery. They use the rainwater. They have a heat recovery system. And I think with all the things that you said will be more important in the future, we look for such aspects too.
And has it got fast Wi-Fi, Axel? That's my number
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I think that's at a fast Wi-Fi, and they have really things that you have. They have really a good technology included. That speakers, beamers, and all the things you need. And they have really funny things. And they have a lot of technique inside, and they can lift up a lot of the floors and bring down the ceilings. So if you need a big room, maybe for a concert, you can bring it up. And if you want to have a smaller room, you can bring it down. I think they have between the ceilings more than 100 motors.
That's really
It was
interesting.
quite
Well,
fascinating when we looked for that and visited for the
for the site visit, I'm sure it was.
yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk a bit more about this year's event. Now, we touched upon obviously the numbers and the topics, but in terms of the speakers, because you always have a keynote every morning as well, and you have very
Yeah.
good keynotes, and often they are from regulators and senior people in the industry. So again, for people who've never been to Pharma Lab, what are some of the keynote speakers that you've had in the past, and who can we expect to see this year?
I think yeah, in the past we covered different topics. We have I think with Michael Miller, one of the senior experts in rapid microbiology, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that
Last
now.
year we have a quite interesting talk, I think from a lady from early development from Charles River, who is working with modern methodologies in the early development. But we have people from like Professor Beckeretian Ding was working in this time for CEPI and CEPI and was at the German authority, the Paul-Ehrlich Institute in this time, who give us a little bit information about the global preparedness for vaccination for the next pandemic, maybe, yeah. And today we will, or this year we will pick up two, I think, quite interesting topic. The first will address the overall topic at the moment, artificial intelligence.
Right,
I
yeah.
think Dr. Marcel Frankel, he's a senior scientist for predictive formulations and process solutions at Merck, Darmstadt. And he's deeply involved there in the field of artificial intelligence applications at Merck. And he will speak about, he got a nice name for his talk, the hype, the hope, and the how.
All right, that sounds
And
good.
yeah, said, okay, let's talk for the hype about the big budgets and the bigger promises. Then look about the hope, maybe. So a shift from trend to transformation in the companies, and then at the end, really the how to implement it with all these aspects of data integrity, human organizational readiness, and regulatory enablement. And so to open, especially with this keynote, one of the new conference tracks, because we have this year a 2 days conference track on artificial intelligence in laboratories. And the second one goes in a totally other direction. Maybe you see that at your multi events, we have a more and more increasing issue with um, um, the less working antibiotics, more resistance of
Yeah, yeah.
microbial infections against our antibiotics. And so I think a new topic is coming up again. It's not a new topic, it's old. Since several decades, I think researchers were working on phage therapies. And but it's upcoming now because that's a possibility maybe to work against the issue we have with antibiotics. And therefore, we will have the second talk on phage therapies. And Frederic Willouis will be an expert in this topic. Was commenting the new EDQM guideline in this commenting phase, and is in the company, biotech company, involved in that. And so we will go with the second topic on the phage therapies.
Brilliant.
We will then pick up maybe next spring this topic again in the European Microbiology Conference with an own blog that talks about that.
That's really good. So now, for people who've never been as well, the one thing I should add is the other thing I always enjoy coming to your events about is that you always make sure that you feed people very well throughout the event. In fact, I remember you and I having a conversation, you saying that you always invest in the food because it's like a wedding. People always remember the food when they go to an event. And you do actually put very good food on, both for lunch, for dinner, and your evening event with the casino night. Are you still doing all of that again this year?
Yeah, sure. I think what will be the most worst remember people can have if they have no food at the conference. Huh? I remember I was once at a US conference where they have more or less a little bit coffee break with some small cakes or the cookies and not more. And for the lunch, you must look by yourself how you will organize it. But it was not really in the center of the town, so it was a hard job. And I said it was an awful experience.
Very
And
true. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
And I,
one of the you see the ECA became a foundation in 2010. It's an accepted non-profit organization, so we can reinvest some of the money as in one part for a good conference food for a social event. So give the people then the chance to networking maybe in a familiar atmosphere. And I think so. That's the question. What will the people remember after 15 years when you ask them about the conference? Will they think about the presentation or will they think about the social event and the food? I don't know. We can
No,
ask this year then the people at Pharma Lab. What will you remember in 10 years?
that's very true. Right.
Yeah,
So,
I think yes, the food is included and it's organized
fantastic. Right.
as
So,
it is
I've
before.
got a final question for you, Axel, because we've talked about the future as well, where you're going to be next year as well. So, but people are watching this who've never been to Pharma Lab. If you've been to Pharma Lab, you know what it's like, and you've already got your ticket, I'm sure. But if you've never been to Pharma Lab, why should someone come to Pharma Lab if they've never been before? this is your opportunity in 30 seconds or so, maybe a bit longer, to tell people why they should book their ticket.
So I think I will look back in my history. I think in my previous roles in other companies, I worked for in the industry as well as for suppliers for the pharmaceutical industry. And with the experience I made there, I see PharmaLab as an exceptional opportunity to combine high quality presentations, exchange with colleagues, networking, and at the same time, you will have time enough to look maybe at the exhibitions or look for the development in methodologies, in what services are offered, what possibilities for outsourcing, and to combine these different advantages. I think that will be a reason for me normally when I was not working for the year to go to PharmaLab, and maybe additionally that you say that the atmosphere is not like a big trade fair. It's more familiar. You can really stay close together with all these people, with the speakers, and you have really to then the chance maybe to ask the questions you will never ask in the big audience. The classical question that's going wrong in my company, and a coffee break at the table with 2 or 3 colleagues. What is your solution in your company? You will never ask this in an online seminar or somewhere where a lot of people stay around. So I think um, a lot of opportunities. And additionally, what you see, there are 8 parallel conference tracks. And with your ticket, you have the possibility to make cherry picking and pick up all interest talks for you, switch between the rooms, and so you can create your own individual program. I think
That's great.
have you this possibility somewhere else? And especially for the price PharmaLab had, I think
That's great.
cheap.
Well,
It's a question whether the price is cheap, but I think it's cheaper than a lot of other conferences in the world.
it's cost effective. Let's put it. It's a good investment. Let's put it that way. Well, actually, I would agree with everything you said there, Axel, because I always think, having been to PharmaLab a few years, it's actually a community as well. And a lot of people go there every year, have been going for many, many years, but you do get a lot of new people coming. As you say, you've grown steadily over the years. And from my experience, it is a community with a lot of people are there, but they all are there to help each other as well. So it is a great event. So viewers, if you haven't ever been to PharmaLab and you work in those specific areas around quality control, in regulation, in microbiology, in bioassays, and all the various things that Axel's talking about, and you're interested in those areas, then certainly check out the website and the link above this video, learn more. And if you can come, you should come, because it is a great event. And actually come before it moves to a new venue, because then you'll get to experience what it's like as it has been for the last 14 years as well. So Axel, it's genuinely lovely to see you. It's always great to catch up with you, and I look forward to seeing you in person in Noose next month. And hopefully you won't be too tired and worn out from all the shows you've been visiting by then. You'll still have some energy left to do it.
Okay, I look forward to see you in 3 weeks then in Neuss, and I will look up when I don't forget it. I think I will pick up my orange jogging shoes.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, you're going to get an orange baseball cap from me now for doing this interview, so I'll bring it for you. Don't worry. So viewers, I hope you found that interesting. If you're involved in microbiology, quality control, and other areas, endotoxin testing, many others. I mean, we didn't even talk about who the exhibitors were, but they've got a very good range of leading companies and people with new innovations who exhibit, and the list of exhibitors will be below this video in the comments, so you can see all the exhibitors who are attending as well. But hopefully I'll see you there in person or at another show not too distant future. And Axel, as I said, I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time. So as always, viewers, until next time, stay well and stay safe. Bye bye.